I am so happy today because how do you get chosen for the chosen? Well, hey, everybody. Today we're talking to Rueben Martinez and on some of the acting roles he's played and how God has led him into acting and how he got his part on the Chosen series. Ruben, great having you here. So let's start talking about your role on the Chosen. What part did you audition for and how did you get it?
Well, thank you, Nancy, for this. And actually, I started off as background, to be honest. And I've been I would say almost every single character in the Chosen. I always say I'm the most recognizable, unrecognizable actor there because you'll see me, and try not to say it often because then I ruin it for people because they're like, oh, there's Ruben, oh, there's Ruben. So it's the whole time they're not even watching the show. So fortunately, I've been able to be almost every single actor. Because I've been every single actor, I probably cannot be a lead or a principal because wait a minute, that's the same guy that was the beggar. That's the same guy. So, which is okay, but I love the Chosen, and I've been very fortunate to know all the crew and all the cast, and they're just amazing people.
So let me ask you a question. How did Dallas Jenkins take you?
He take me. I think he had to take me. I was part of the I was part of the background to begin with. And just even from the first time I met him, he's been very pleasant, very nice guy. And then ever since then, like every season I come back, like, hey Ruben, oh you're back, and hey Ruben, you're back. So, and I would say that I can be almost any person. So I can really, I started off with really short hair, smaller beard. It's kind of grown because I played other roles on other films, so that hair grew out, the beard grew out, and then they realized that I could put him anywhere, and he still can be considered just background. You don't really notice him unless I tell you, unless people realize, hey, no, that's him, and then all of a sudden ruins it for them. But no, he's been very pleasant, very nice. Again, we've talked better. It's funny because most people go run off trying to get a picture with him. I don't. I didn't, and then we actually finally took a picture together, which I have never released, but we have a picture together as well. Again, just a nice guy.
Did you audition for him like on Zoom or in person?
I didn't audition. Again, I was just background. Yeah. So for background, you don't audition. You actually provide a picture, then you have a full length picture as well. And they if you look biblical, so if you have biblical hair, I have friends that have very biblical hair. Then they ask you to be a part of it. And when I first started, I was actually at Capernaum Studios, and they said, hey, there's this biblical series coming up. It seems to be kind of fun. Would you be interested? And then I went ahead and said yes. I submitted it myself, and then that was selected. And Dallas doesn't make the selection from there. It was actually then goes to an assistant director and the casting person as well. But then since then, again we become all family. So
yeah. Well, what prominent role would people remember you in there?
Oh gosh, there's been so many, and again I said I've been so fortunate. Probably the very first one would be I was the beggar in season 1, episode 1. So I think it was episode 1, but I was the beggar when Nicodemus is walking through and he's looking around and he's going through the red light district. I'm right there in front of some pigs, and they're like, "Oh, that's the guy." So I'm also in the comic book as that same beggar, which is kind of funny. I've done other things since then where you'll see me as a Pharisee on there, and people realize that I was a Shabbat father. So during the Shabbat dinner, I was one of the fathers at another table, but the way that the camera was right at me when the candle was right in front of me, and it was a perfect picture, so that's in there as well. So there's different. It's funny because I would think that only people remember me as the beggar, I would take that one step further. I made a little quote unquote business card last season, being silly again because just family. So I took the business card with me, and I was handing it out at the Chosen, like, oh, this is me, the beggar. So I made a little joke about that, but so just little things like that. But I've been amazed that people say, oh, you're that guy from something else. They'll remember, or like when I was one of the zealots. So like, oh, you were the zealot. I remember that was you stood out so much. Or in season 3, oh, you're right. When Jesus was healing people, you're right behind the other parents. So just things like that they'll recognize me. One thing they won't recognize me as, though, it's kind of funny because do you remember the scene where a child has died, and when there's a group of mourners, they're mourning for them, they're singing and playing a flute. I'm actually in that scene. There's that, but you can only so they know that, but they kind of edited me out a little bit. But the next scene, because you see me very prominent in the next scene, so they were like, "Wait, how do you go from mourner to that?" But if you watch, there's actually 5 mourners. And I used to tell my friends, I told my friends on the set, I'm like, I'm the 5th Beatle. Because the one nobody knows. But if you look, you're like, oh yeah, there's 5. I'm right next to my friend Mark. So yeah, just right on the far inside.
Wow, that's so much fun, right? Are you
Oh,
having the time of your life or what?
It's like going back, like family reunion, to be honest. And
Yeah.
I've just been really happy. And again, just being there. And it doesn't matter how far my career goes. If they ever want me back and they bring me back every season, I'm really fortunate. I consider myself blessed. But it doesn't matter how, if I become very famous or whatever, I'm still always going to go back because it's just like going back to family. And I don't care if I play just you see my pinky or very little part of me. I'm not really, it's not really that important to me to be seen as much now, but it's more important just to be around my family. They're just, all the cast and the crew, that we're just kind of one big unit, if you will.
What was your favorite role that you played so far in The Chosen?
The first one, which was the beggar. And that was because that really showed me how a beggar would feel. I've never, so just having that kind of feeling. And it was interesting, as we're in a holding area. And so I'm already wearing my beggar outfit and we're laughing, we're joking with other people. And they're like, oh, you're the beggar. And then we go to set, and then I'm on the ground, and there's a pig pushing me from behind. And when people are walking by their stands, I could feel the dust coming in my face. So I was pretty low to the ground. So I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. We go back to holding, and the same people, they were like, hey, how's it going? And being really nice to me. They started becoming mean to me. And I was like, what? And one person, a friend of mine said, I can't help but be mean to you. I feel like I saw you on set as a beggar. It's almost like a mentality, which actually I was fortunate, because then I was able to do more of that in that same role, even though again it's so small, but just being able to feel like I was begging and feel like I was really, really trying to help. That really kind of helped me, not just in that role, but even other roles as well. So I would say that would probably be my favorite. And the many, there's so many. It's hard for me to choose just one, but that again, being the first one, that would probably be my best.
Yeah, that's the one that stuck with you because it was the first thing that you really had to, feel the character, right? So, so let's talk about some of the other acting roles you've taken. You just released a film teaser for Paul the Apostle.
So I was actually the producer, co-writer, and the actor as well. That was definitely, again, just an amazing experience. Literally fell in my lap. I was in another film called Philemon, where I had an acting role, a speaking role as well. And I met the executive producer there, and he said, I have this idea for a movie or film called Paul. And I said, great. And we looked at the scripts together and said, yeah, we can do it. Let's make it filmable. And then we came and actually did it. I go back to with The Chosen, everyone being such family there. And a lot of my crew were from The Chosen. A lot of them I really said, you know what, you probably could do more. And they went to a higher level, and they did more than I thought. You would think I had a multi-million-dollar budget for what we created, just because it's simply amazing. But one of my AD, actually, Christian Kramer, mentioned to me that he was looking for people to help. Like, I need some grips, or I need some gaffers. And they said, like, it's very low paying. I don't know. And he goes, they said, well, I don't know what's it for. They said, oh, it's for Ruben. Oh yeah, I'll do it. Don't even worry. Yeah. So that to me tells me, again, the experiences I had for The Chosen, and really how you treat people. When you treat people really, with value, they tend to value you as well. And so just being a part of that, on the writing side, and gosh, that was so much. It's funny because when you're writing and with the Bible as your template, there's so many great stories, and you don't have to do much because it's already there. It's just more like I could add a little of this, but if I do it doesn't have to. It's already there, so it's already kind of intriguing. And of course, Paul is so intriguing with coming from Saul to Paul. There's so much in there as well. So bringing that together was really nice. It was a lot of fun. I also played the role of Aquila, so that was definitely a wonderful experience as well. And my relationship with Priscilla and how that goes before we find out that we have to leave Rome, and also what happens when we have to leave Rome. So things like that we're talking about as well. So it hasn't been released yet. I'm going to Kappa Studios next week. So to do the finalized just a spot check, like, okay, so here's the colorization and the audio. And then we also have a score that was written as well. So we're doing that I'm there with my director. However, there has been a release of another version prior to that, because it was being sent to the churches. So that's, so there's almost probably little differences between the two that I doubt we'll see a lot to change, but it's just really that spot check. So I would say probably at churches. I know that there's an app that was being created for that a church is going to be using, so it's part of their app. I think it's Vida Church out of Houston. So again, that'll probably be there as well. Hopefully, we'll look at film festivals or other places we can actually show our film. And then I'm actually going to do just a private premiere for my cast and crew, just to show them as just because I'm thankful for what they did as well. So I want to have that little premiere for them. But again, that'll be private.
Yeah. You have such a wonderful demeanor. I can see why everybody would be friends with you. I want to be friends with you. So you also worked on the War Horse one. What is that film and what was your role there?
Oh, so War Horse One is by William Kaufman and Johnny Strong, and just amazing. Just William is such an amazing writer and director. Just working with him, I had the opportunity to work with him at Capernaum Studios, actually at one of their live immersion event, and he was directing me. I was Peter in that. After I just denied him, I heard the rooster crow. So that pivotal scene that he directed me in. And then he said, you know what, I can use you in this other not biblical film, but it's a kind of soldier of fortune film where this man's going in there to rescue a little girl. And so it's how does that play in there? And of course he goes to me, you would be a great bad guy. And can you be this great bad guy? So I said yes. And we went there, we filmed. There was only very few of us on set. We filmed, it was really in a state park that we filmed it in. And that was a lot of fun as well. And I was also, because I knew so many people, William would ask me, like, do you know people that look like this? And he saw some of my pictures from Facebook or social media. He's like, yes, that person. So I was able to get a lot of my friends involved as well, which is amazing. And then again, and just being a part of that movie, and it's releasing June 30th in theaters. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to like me, but I'm still a nice guy. It's a great film.
That's great. Well, tell the audience a little something about yourself that you want them to know.
Wow, gosh, there's so many. Yeah, about myself. I would say that I love helping other people. I really love just being there and being a servant for other people. And I think that has allowed me to meet so many amazing, interesting people from every different type of background and every different type of, you name whatever they went through. But being there and serving them, and I'd say this predominantly, I've done it with the Chosen. It's typically I'll go out and take people's trash, or I'll go out and make sure everything's clean up. I'll go out and talk to people and ask how they're doing. And really, it's not to put on a show, because people can say, "Oh, you're just doing it for that," but no, it's really to show them that this is what a Christian heart is like. We're here to serve. If you want to lead, you have to serve. You have to be okay doing the dishes, washing, and sweeping around, picking up trash, throwing out trash. That you have to be okay with everything. But my mentality is just I go about that so I can actually meet people. And when I meet the people, and I've been very fortunate to meet so many different type of people from, again, every walk of life, even people you think I wouldn't like the Yankee fans because I'm a Red Sox fan.
I see that.
but no, but I joke around, obviously. But it really, I want people to see that when you do that, when you serve other people, how much of a blessing you have just to be around those other people, and they loved. And I've been very fortunate, extremely fortunate that people have come up to me and they shared their life with me. They've told me some deep, dark secrets, and they've asked for prayer, or they asked for can you encourage, or can you help me on this? And so just being a part of that and being able to be with these people, I'd say that's part that I would say something I do, but something anybody else can do as well.
Yeah. I love that you have a servant's heart, and where you are, you can serve for Jesus. You can be the hands and feet that deliver the good news, and pray with them and all the things that Jesus wants you to do, right? So if there was any part that you could play, what would it be?
Wow. My comedic side is coming into in forefront. So, and I have a dramatic side as well. So maybe like a dramatic comedy or dramedy, if you will. And I've written some as well. So I think I love those type of characters. And really, it's real characters for me. When I'm writing, I'm writing from, well, people when they're watching this, I want them to see themselves in what I'm writing. I don't want to create some kind of caricature person, even though those are fun and that's great. But even if the caricature, there's still real life that they've gone through. There's still things that they're going through or things they're about to go through. And so those type of characters where, whether leading or supporting, being able to play those. But again, it's funny because as an actor, I was once told that you ask when you first started off, you ask your peers, okay, when you see me in a movie, what do you see? And of course, I like to be funny. I think I'm funny. I do improv comedy. I try to be funny. And to a T, everyone said to a T, you're the bad guy. It's like you're the villain. I'm like, but I'm funny. It's like, no, you're a great bad guy. So playing a bad guy as well, I love that character. And again, I've been a drug cartel leader. I've been Al Qaeda. I've been ISIS. So again, I've been a terrorist, if you will. But yeah, just that one I love doing as well because it's so far from who I am. And then of course, comedy again. So I think I've answered that with like 5 different characters you asked. but yeah, there's so many I love doing as well, and being in that character. A little side note: I used to work. I worked for corporate America, so I used to travel a lot. Travel to all of South America, all of Europe, all of the United States, almost every state. Of course, Canada and Mexico. And I would be in meetings, and sometimes you get bored in meetings or whatever, and I would just come up with characters. And so I would start talking like, I think we should go over there. And they're like, wait a minute, that's not your voice. But just because I get bored, and I figured this is what better thing to do but to entertain those around us.
Yeah.
So some people think my real voice sounds different than what I sound like as well.
How'd you go from corporate to acting?
It's very easy. There's so many stories in corporate America that I can tell.
I worked in corporate, but I mean, so I know, like this is a huge shift. This is,
It is, but it's not. I used to speak at major events as well. So I would go different. That's why I would send me to different countries. I'd speak at these different events, and so I've been around a lot of people, and it's just you're in front of people and you're acting. That's kind of who you are, and it becomes a part of who you are. When I was at Baylor, I was actually the drum major there as well to get them in front, and it's almost intoxicating because you have the ability to just cut people off or bring the volume up or whatever. So knowing that, it's like, oh, to me, I brought that into entertainment as well. Like I can make people laugh, I can make people cry, and so it's just that. But as a good actor, again, as a bad actor, you're not making anybody laugh or cry. You're just making people annoyed at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of lend itself as well. So coming from corporate America, again, being able to act up and just being silly or being very dramatic, it was kind of easy for me.
So what, did you wake up one day and say, listen, I'm going to be an actor? I mean, like, or did you say, oh, I've always wanted to be an actor? Or did somebody come to you and say, hey, you'd be a great bad guy. Can I take you on as an actor? I mean, how did it roll out?
That's a great question because I don't know if I remember. I mean, I'm the youngest of 7. So I've always, been in a very comedic family. My mom and dad were very funny as well. And you have life as well. So it's just interesting. Just, of course, obviously my parents said I always acted up. So that's why I was, but I was not an honor student. I never was the class clown. I was an honor student, and people the only thing I got in trouble, I think I said this before, the only thing I got in trouble in high school, I was reading, I was so into this book, Lord of the Flies. And I was in my French class and I was reading it. I already did my French and everything, but I was sitting there reading my book, and the teacher came up and said, put that book away. And he sent me to the principal's office. And I was sitting there and they're like, what are you here for? I'm like, I was reading a book. Like, what? You're reading a book? Some other people are doing so much better, worse things than I did. But so I was still a good student. So I would say one day, I don't know if I woke up one day or just had the opportunity to act. I know that I've been given that opportunity many times, of course, in church plays and other things as well. And just wanting to do those things, it became very natural for me as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was like one person said you should do this. Everyone tells me I should do like be a comic or be this or that kind of thing, but I kind of bring it all together because I'm a comic. I do, like I said, I do improv comedy. I try to do different things as well. I try to act, and so I think doing those as well as being encouraged by friends and family has been great for me as well.
It sounds like you've been busy all the time. When do you sleep? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at you on Facebook and I'm thinking, does this guy sleep? Wait a minute, he's over here. Wait a minute, he's over there. I mean, do you sleep?
But it's funny you say that because this past weekend we had a very long shoot till almost 24 hours shoot, but we got everything done right, and we ended like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking that same question, like when am I going to sleep? Because I was about to go after that. I had an improv comedy class. So, but again, you find the time to sleep, and hopefully it's not during the on set or someone else.
Yeah.
But again, yeah. So I've just been fortunate, to be honest, and it's all about time management as well. I know that there's some things I can do at certain times, and I have to make sure, like, okay, but only these 2 hours, and after that, I've got to go, or different things like that, because that can definitely seep into other things as well. And I've also been very fortunate with my company and other that I'm able to do multiple things at the same time as well.
That's wonderful. Wow, you're cooking over there. I can tell.
And it's not
So,
because it's 100 degrees here. No,
is it really?
no, not yet. Almost. We'll be
Oh
there
my
next
God.
week.
Well, let's quickly talk about your walk with Jesus. How did he come into your life? I mean, were you always a believer? Did Jesus come to into your life like Paul, like a bang, I got you over the head kind of thing?
So I was born into a Christian household, and at the ripe old age of 8, I accepted Christ. My mother and father were just amazing Christians. My mother, I would consider her like Paul. She definitely could reach out to anybody and share the Christ with them. I remember we would go to different stores, different places. And I knew it was going to take 3 or 4 hours because she'd find someone there we didn't know, and then she'd witness to them, and then we'd wait, and then okay, we go another place. Okay, another 3 or 4 hours, because again, that was very very important to her. And being in that legacy of who your parents are, and they're always preaching Christ, always sharing Christ, always loving. They're big servant. My dad has this huge servant's heart. Again, not just for his family, but for other people as well. He'd always bring food or bring gifts to people, and it would just to brighten their day. He used to bring donuts to people after he retired. He would just bring donuts just to have people have a wonderful day. So just being brought up in that kind of environment, as well as my brothers and sisters, it was so easy to know how to become a Christian, even though we're not really in a bubble. Obviously, I was around people that are not Christian and other beliefs, but I knew for sure where I was going. I knew for sure, there's no doubt. I didn't have any doubt, like, oh, maybe this. And it was more like I saw my family, I saw my mom and dad, and I knew that. A lot of people don't know this, but both of my parents have already passed away. And my mother, when she had cancer, she was in the hospital. And I remember a story they told me that the doctors would come up to her like, oh, can we do anything for you, Mrs. Martinez? And she'd say, no, but can I pray for you? And here she was on her deathbed praying for the doctors and the nurses that are helping her. And they're like, well, why would you do that? She's like, well, I know where I'm going. Do you know where you're going? And so, but it was still, she had still had that desire to share Christ. And why not? I mean, what better thing to share but a Savior who loves you, no matter what you've done, no matter where you are, no matter what you'll do in the future, that Savior still loves you, and He's your Lord. And it just happens to be that He's also created you. He knew you in the womb. I mean, there's so many things that God has done for us. Why not? Why wouldn't we love to spend time with Him or talk about Him as well? And just so seeing that within my family and growing up in that environment, as well as my local church when I was in El Paso, that was, again, they were really big encouraging me and taught me the Bible. I grew up in a Baptist church, so I know the Bible very, very well. But again, just knowing and just spending that time, I can tell you, my Sunday school teachers, and they're just amazing. And I was very, very fortunate to be brought up that way as well.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the Lord was grooming you to set your feet upon the rocks so that you can share His word with other people. And you have that servant heart like your dad. So how wonderful is that? I love it. Very blessed you are. from beginning to here, right? I mean, this journey is like, God has given you this journey of joy that not everybody can see and have that journey, but you're really experiencing the goodness of God. So it's so good to have you on here today. And I was wondering where people could find you if they were looking for you.
So just a little bit on that. I do have that joy. And by the way, that joy can never be taken away. It doesn't matter what has gone through. I mentioned my mother and father passed away, but there's still that joy that cannot. It's just part of who I am. So that just want to leave that last note there. But yeah, so definitely people can find me on Facebook and on Instagram as well. I have an actor, Rueben Martinez actor page as well. That's for fans. It's kind of funny. I have fans. And then of course Instagram is another place. You can go to the Internet Movie Database, so the IMDb page as well. You can find me there. You can go to the theater. I'll be at the theater June 30th with Warhorse One, and then go again different film festivals I go to as well. But yeah, if you're ever on the set of The Chosen and I'm there, I definitely will. I'll definitely talk to you. No question about that as well.
That's wonderful. So what would you like to leave my audience with today?
Oh gosh, like I said, I think I said this earlier. Being a blessing to others. It's so easy to be a blessing. It's so easy to smile. It's so easy just to shake a hand or just to greet someone. Even if you're in a drive-through, again, I'll do that all the time. Of course, I make jokes and try to make them laugh, but it's easy to try to make people happy. It's also almost as easy to have hatred towards people. And I would say the better choice is the blessing part, because the hatred only brings you more hatred. It brings more and more consequence of that. But being a blessing to someone, making somebody's day, I don't know how many times I can tell you that I've been at, again, going through a drive-through or walking in the mall or something, and I'll smile or make a quick little joke, and they'll tell me like, "You just made my day. I thank you for it." Or sometimes they don't even tell me. I'll put a joke and I look back and I notice that they're laughing still, but I made their day, and that's easy to do instead of bringing hatred, because there's so many things we can find so many things to hate about. Again, I'm a Red Sox fan. I can easily find a lot of things. I've been in New York many times. I can find many things to hate about New York. But again, I don't, because we're all people. We're all loved by the same God. The same God sent His Son to die for every single one of us, all of us, not just only specific people, not only just the Baptists, not only just the charismatics, but everybody, even the non-Christian. He died for everybody. So why not be a blessing in that regard instead of being a curse or bringing hatred? I would say, and if you find time to just, if you feel like don't feel like I'm not in that right position today, there's ways that you can get around that. Sing, worship song, number one, that's probably the best way. Or go serve. Go out and pick up trash. Go out and just, somebody drops something, pick that up, or help somebody out, or even let a car go in front of you. You have road rage. Just, I'm just gonna it's amazing how that changes your mentality, changes your heart. Because then you're not in the spirit of anger or hatred, but now you're in the spirit of just giving. Even if it's just allowing some dumb person to try to catch you off, you let them in front of you. And not thinking that they're dumb. And not using different words to describe them, but just saying, they're probably having a bad day. I'm gonna let them in front. Or probably, they just need something. I don't know. But it's just allowing that and so that it allows you to feel that love as well.
What is goodness in the eyes of the Lord? Well, in James 1:17, it says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. And in Psalm 23:6, it says, surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Do you seek the goodness of God? Are you showing goodness to others in their journey to knowing who God is? Well, God is calling you to Himself to know His goodness. Do you listen to the call of God? Because God speaks to you every day. Are you listening to the call?